Howdy y'all, Bear Curtis. Try to make this video short and sweet for you here real quick. Got the longbow out today, which become one of my favorite bows. I love this reflex deflex design for the long bows. I mean, they're nice, they shoot fast. I think they're, I wouldn't say real quieter than the recurves, depending on how you have your recurve set up. Because my mom was pretty quiet, and she's deadly. I ain't got the arrows for her at the moment. But I love my longbows. I've kind of leaned my preference more towards the longbow than I did the recurve. So that's just personal preference there. But I've been seeing a lot of these videos on here. People will try to explain, you know, beginners how to shoot different methods. Now, I ain't gonna say I'm smart in any kind of way to where I'm gonna try to explain all the big fancy terms like trajectory and, you know, the archer's paradox, how your arrow don't leave off straight or any of that. And I ain't gonna sit here and tell you, you know, split's better than 3 under, or, you know, you should gap shoot or split vision. Or I think instinctual archery for people that are actually going out to hunt is probably one of your best methods. If you're looking to target shoot, or you're wanting to be like pinpoint accurate, one of those methods might work better for you. But one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is, when you're standing, just point. When you stand sideways, point your hand. How does your hand set? Because when you take your bow and you got to do it, that's exactly how your bow should set. It shouldn't, like, a lot of people want to shoot a recurve and they think it's like a compound bow. Like you're supposed to be straight up and down and come back, like you see your Olympic archers and stuff do. That don't work for everybody. It sure don't work for me. Best piece of advice I can give you is, before you even start shooting, take your hand and look at something and point. See how your hand sets. See how your arm sets naturally. Because however that sets naturally, this hand's gonna follow it. And you want that straight pull. Same as when you pull back, you want your shoulders, your back tension to do the work. You know, you're not pulling this with your bicep. It has nothing to do with your bicep. It really don't have nothing to do with your shoulder, honestly. Because when you pull this, it's all right in here. It's all your back tension. Now you should be able to pull that and hold it. That is a big thing. I will agree with a lot of guys on the internet that will tell you, don't overbow yourself. You know, Fred Bear done proved that there ain't nothing in this continent, nothing on this continent, that can't be killed with like a 40-pound bow. You know, he's brought down grizzlies and all matters of harvestable animals on this continent and other continents with under a 60-pound bow. You don't need a big ass fucking English war bow to go hunting. I mean, you don't have to. That's more of a, you know, pride thing, or I don't know what that's about. This bow here is 55 pounds to 28 inches. I pull around 30 inches. So I shoot a little over 60 pounds with this bow, but that's just what I find comfortable. And that's bare-fingered. You know, that's without the glove. That's bare-fingered. I still shoot this bow for hours like that. That, yet again, personal preference. Don't overbow yourself. But yeah, I think that's like one of the number one things I tell any beginner archer to do is stand sideways at the target like you would. You don't have to be completely squared up, because sometimes if you're completely squared up and you pull, I mean, you're right up against your chest. You might have to kick that foot back a little bit. Give yourself that space, especially if you're all, you know, piled up with winter clothes. And then, you know, you start from there Hunting situations, you ain't even always on your feet. You might have to kneel down. You might have to lay down. Laying down shooting's a bit different. It takes a little bit more practice, but there's a lot of things you can do with a old primitive bow that just you can't really do with a compound bow. Like, you can't lay down underneath a log with a compound and curve your arrow up under like you can a recurve. Same as you can't lop an arrow over top a log with a compound like you can a recurve. But I'm gonna take a couple shots here just to show you what I mean by the draw. And don't worry if you cant your bow, if you tilt your bow sideways. I've noticed a lot of people worry about that. Like, they're so dead on that compound mentality, I guess you'd call it, to thinking you have to hold this straight up and down, or that you have to death grip your bow. Don't death grip your bow. I mean, if you grab a hold of your bow like this and you put a little bit of tension on it, it sits there. And if you don't have your bow to where it's sitting in your hand comfortably, like when you point, see, like if you, right here, if I'm pointing, I'm comfortable, that's how my bow sets. And that's how it's gonna set comfortably, and that's how the arrow is gonna come off my string straight. Be comfortable. That's why it's called instinctual. Your body instinctually knows how to hold this bow. Yeah, it's like ingrained into our very souls of shooting these bows. I don't got a zoom, but I don't think I have a zoom. But look, that was fast shooting, not really aiming, not taking the time to pinpoint nothing. There's these, that's within a 2-inch group, and the other one's back in there. Because, for one, I need a new target. I've done kind of blew out the center of this one again too. But yeah, that's pretty much like it's instinctual. You said it, like when you look over and you get a point at something, you know what you're pointing at. Your eyes already know and your fingers already on it. That's what you do with an arrow. Let me pull these real quick and I'll get right back with you. Give me 1 second. This other one pulled out. All right. Go back here to my bow, show you something real quick. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on here with this, but I do think it's pretty important. I just got my phone, so bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. All right. So say you got your arrow knocked on, right? And you pull it back. Look where that arrow tip sits. It sits right exactly with your finger. Like right exact, that is pretty much an extension of your finger. So when you go like this and you point, you don't even have to point no more. As soon as you pull that bow back, that is your finger. That arrow tip is sitting exactly where your finger is. So when you hit your anchor point and your finger, pretty much your arrow tip, your finger practically is there, it's the same as pointing at something. You pull that string back and go like this. You know, you don't have to aim, you know, to point at like an apple on a tree. You don't have to aim to point at something on the ground. So when you go like that and you have your string up, you turn, you just point. That's pretty much what it is. Same as you go like that, you point. That has a lot to do with everything. Like don't struggle with the bow. Don't overthink. Like that's a lot of it too, is the mentality. Like it's in your mind. Archery is very simplistic. Same as the design. You got a piece of wood, you got a string. Very simplistic. That's how it needs to be in your mind too. Don't overthink it. You get too many gears turning up here and you mess up the whole process. Go out and have fun. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right away. Don't beat yourself up if you start missing. I'm professional shooters. I'm gonna call myself professional, but I've been shooting all my life. And I still miss every now and then. You know, I still struggle with the whole, I manipulate my string sometimes. You know, when I pull back and I'm at my anchor, I'll either twist my string or my wrist will wiggle a little bit and it'll throw shots everywhere. That will happen. You know, everybody has their off days. That will happen. Maybe I had a little bit too much coffee. You know, I get a little bit of jitters. Throw your air off a little bit. Nothing to beat yourself up about. And I'm just saying, that don't really happen to me all that often, but I get a pot of coffee in me with my ADHD. Yeah, it's possible. It could happen. But anyway, go out, have fun with it. Shooting, don't overthink and don't let it get to you. Just have fun with it. I mean, they have those archery games out now with the arrows that have the big like dodgeballs on the end of it, where you can have archery wars. If you'd be into something like that, man, get into something like that. I think that'd be pretty fun personally. You know, I've never done it yet, but I think that'd be pretty fun, and it's also good training, you know. See that mourning dove? I don't know if you guys can see her. Literally like 6 feet away from me. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see her on there or not. They're beautiful. Anyhow, guys, I'm gonna jump off here and get to shooting. Hope you guys have a good one. And like I said, just get out there and shoot. Have fun with it.